Alright, today's lesson is on the quadratic function, which is basically our x squared graph. So we're going to talk about quadratic functions, we're going to talk about how to graph them, the parts of them, even some inequalities. So I will start this first video on the quadratic function and its parts and how to find them. Alright, so the quadratic function, its standard form, just like the linear equation had a standard form of ax plus by equals c, the quadratic function has a similar standard form. Alright, except because it's a higher exponent, it goes ax squared plus bx plus c. So it doesn't use m like slope, because slope is not really a thing with quadratics, so they just start off with a, b, and c. If you had something with a higher exponent, like a cubic, which would start with a 3, then it would go ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d. So it just kind of goes the letters of the alphabet, as many as they need. Anyway, so this is the function. So all of them will be in that function, as you can see. It's a U-shaped graph. We talked about that when I went over the parent functions in the previous lesson. And this shape is called the parabola. It's what's called a conic section. So it's a special conic section, something that's cut out of a cone. So that's called a parabola. Anyhow, that's just a little bit of math trivia. So we're going to use our graphing calculator and we're going to sketch these things. Then we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's going on for the rest of this. All right, so let's put in the first equation. Fx equals x squared plus 2x minus 5. All right, so that's what this looks like. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Again, we're just sketching. So this will look something like that. Again, not perfect. Let's put in the next one. Minus 3. And this is a 7. Alright, so this one goes like that. Alright, so a is positive when the parabola opens up. Okay, so this is when a is positive. Remember, a is the first number in our equation. So a is positive. Here it's positive 1. Notice this one is a negative 1, so that's why it's opening downward. All right, so okay, so it says here a vertical line that divides the parabola into two equal parts is called the axis of symmetry. So in this particular case, the axis of symmetry is running like that, and this one is running like that. So it basically cuts the graph in half. All right, the formula for that is x equals minus b over 2a. The a and the b come from this formula. So we would use the a from this and use the b from this and then compute it here. All right. The turning point of the parabola is called the vertex. So again, we're labeling as we go. So that's the vertex. That's the vertex. It's a point. Okay. So if this, if it's up, then this point would also be considered the minimum, because that's the smallest point there is, the lowest point. This is the highest, so this would be considered your maximum. All right, so it's the same point, it's just whether it's a min or a max, depending on the shape of the graph. All right, and it says label all the parts. We already did that, so we're good to go. So if you kind of get the idea about what's going on with with a being positive or negative, some of these questions you can, at least one of these questions, the min or max, you can answer right away. Okay, so let's rip through these 4 real quick in terms of the min or max. Okay, since this is a positive, a is positive, that means it's opening up. so that means this is a minimum. So I'm going to circle minimum. All right. This one's negative, so if this one's negative, that means it opens downward, so it's a maximum. And so literally, I can answer these questions just by what's going on with A. All right. I didn't even look at the graphs yet, but I can confirm that when I go and put them in anyway. All right, so you have an option to find the axis of symmetry and the vertex. You can, if you put it in the calculator, it's going to help you find the min or max. Excuse me, the axis of symmetry or vertex. Now, the axis of symmetry, I could calculate it, but since I'm putting it in the Desmos anyway, I can figure that out when I've got it graphed. All right, so let me put that in there. This is 4x squared. All right, so it looks like to me that 0, 0 is my vertex. Okay, lowest point, 0, 0. And then my axis of symmetry is basically the y-axis, so x is equal to 0. Now, just to prove that, I can use this formula right here just to show you x equals. So if you don't want to use Desmos, you could calculate it. B in this problem is already 0, right? Because there's no B term. And A is just 2 times A, which is 2 times 4. 0 over 8, well, 0 over anything is still 0. So that goes in here, and if you notice, that's also the x coordinate of the vertex. All right, so let's do number 2. Let's punch that in. Again, I'm kind of editing, so I don't have to put x squared a gazillion times. All right, plus 6x. All right, so got to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so my vertex, let's see, it looks like this guy right here, 3, 9. Okay, it looks like 3, 9. All right. So my axis of symmetry will, okay, so I got my vertex as being 3, 9, supposedly. Okay, so what we're going to do is punch this in just to make sure. X equals minus b over 2a. Okay, minus b is 6 over 2 times a, which is negative 1. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is, lo and behold, 3, which is correct, but we got x equals 3. And what you'll notice is the vertex and the axis of symmetry have something in common. The axis of symmetry, since it passes through this, and this is always a vertical line, it's an x equals line. When you get the x equals for the axis of symmetry, you also get the x coordinate on the vertex. And if you needed to do the math, like you didn't have your Desmos in front of you and you needed to calculate it, you just put the 3 back in here and it will pop out the 9. Because remember, this is a graph of the function of all x's and y's that get plugged in here. So if I plug the 3 in here and with my phone, I will get 9. All right, so let's do the next one. So that's a 2, and this is a 7. All right, so now it looks like I'm back on the y-axis, which makes it quite easy. So the axis of symmetry, again, is x equals 0, because it's right down on the y-axis. And the vertex, again, since I know this is 0, I know this is also 0. And then all I have to do is hover over this and get, let's see what it says, 7. And I'm done. Okay, last one. I'm going to put that in, x squared. X squared minus 8x. Plus 9. Alright. Gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay, so it looks like for negative 7 my vertex. Therefore, here's the other way you could do it too. If you put down this, then you know this has to be x equals 4. Again, remember the equation of a vertical line is always x equals. That's why I keep putting x equals 4. You must put x equals something. Don't just put a number. You must put x equals because the axis of symmetry is the equation of a vertical line. Don't forget that. All right, so that's it for this particular section of the notes.